This is the CRESCENT alert. Civil defense information will be broadcast at 6:40.
West of the Rockies, you're on the air. Hello.
Y2K, how can we prepare?
Stop a few of their machines and radios. Throw them into darkness for a few hours.
We are fighting for our lives. My family must survive.
Oh, for 5 years. 1,000 gallons of gas, air filtration, water filtration.
Coming at you from the frozen tundra that is East Central Alberta, Canada, streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble, and Odyssey. Welcome back to the workshop where we create community, find freedom, promote preparedness, and share success. I am Toolman Tim. Today is April the 8th, 2023, and this is episode 287 of the Workshop Podcast. How is everyone out there this evening? It's going to be a good one. I got a bunch of community feedback put together for everyone, but in about 15 minutes, we are going to attempt to open the phone lines. The last 2 times I have been pleasantly surprised by how many people have decided they wanted to join our merry band of delinquents in here and come on live. So I have decided to we are going to run a 10-minute timer in the corner, just so it's fair. I always say 10 minutes, but I'm going to hold everyone to 10 minutes on your call. But you're going to be open to discuss basically anything you want, any question you want to ask, or anything you want to share. And I've already got somebody in the background, and it's going to be a good one. Absolutely know it will be. So let's get the announcements out of the way. And maybe we'll just open the damn phone lines right away. It's always fun. So here we are, guys. First off, the Telegram group. I will never, ever, ever stop boasting about how incredible our band of delinquents is over there. It's just great. We just topped out over 200, but it's still small enough that, if you don't pop in for a day or two, it's not that big of a deal to get caught up on it. But what I love about it is it's the place to go to share struggles, failures, successes, all of the above. And that's what I love. It's just an information exchange. The last few days, we have had Noster, which I'm just learning myself. It's I don't want to call it anything because I'll call it something wrong if I do, but it's a blockchain technology social media that we're going to talk about tomorrow night. But Brian and Josh and a few others have been helping everyone over there get set up. It's just great. I love it. Anarchy at its finest. So anyway, the link is in the description. Grab it, join it. Seems like every single episode I mention it, and every single episode somebody comes on, joins, and says, well, I'm new to this whole Telegram thing, but I'm happy to be here. So anyway, do that if you can, if you will. Hey, we got Nate Lemaster in here stuffing Easter eggs. Oh, for the girls, I won't say it too loud. Byron, he's in here. Civil Defense Canada, Martinson family, all great to have you. This evening, next is the Patch of the Month Club, patchofthemonth.co. I really appreciate you guys. I think we've got about 30 members in there already, which is just, it blows me away that we've had that many. But if you're looking for, I don't know, a cool idea, cool gift, whatever, this one here is how much that in freedom units. The new one that's coming out, it's going to get shipped out next week. You guys are going to be excited. I obviously won't give it away. But anyway, if you're looking for a way to support the workshop, and you want to get value for value exchange, and you want to get added to a super secret email list on the rare occasion we release something else, you get pre-release availability to it. We did that with the silver, sold a bunch to everybody on there before anyone else even had a chance. And finally, holy cow, less than 2 weeks, we are leaving to go to the Living Free in Tennessee Spring Workshop. I'm stoked. I cannot wait to see our people again. It's going to be great. Basically April 7th, 27th to 29th. There's still a couple of tickets left. $500 for the weekend or $475 if you pay in Bitcoin. That includes all the meals, camping on site, and access to all of the presentations. And it is just awesome. Also, there's probably going to be karaoke, just so you know. And Nate says, can't wait for the next patch and more silver. Yes, that is percolating in the background. We've got a bunch of things on the go here. Today's tool, the CRESCENT 4-in-1 and SE, the standard wrench set. I didn't bother with a metric tonight, but I love that. I used that the other day as well in combination with the nut drivers that I love. And they just work. They're a 4 wrench set that basically, it's a 2 wrench set that is 8 different sizes altogether. They're ratcheting. They're made like a brick shithouse, and I love them. And they're not that expensive, about $30, but just think about how much weight it saves in your tool pack. And Martinson family says stuffing a large paper, then boiling eggs for bunny skinning party. I mean, Easter hunt. I mean, Easter morning. Always fun, guys. Always fun. So good to have everybody in here. Oh, we lost our first member. It was looked like a funny one, but we'll bring him in a few minutes here. And hey, Barrett Bishop, my uncle, my brother-in-law, he says, my nephew, Noah, is watching on the big screen. Hi, Uncle Tim. Good to have you, Noah. Always love having you, bud. So it's Saturday, so I usually give you guys a rundown of this week in the workshop. It's been a busy one. The big thing, of course, was the missus came back from overseas, and you guys had a great episode with her last night. I sat down, drank some old fashions, and basically let her do all the talking for 2 hours, and she did well. I love the episodes where I get to have her on. So it was fun. Great to have the missus back. And from there, what do we got? The weather is just getting beautiful here. I cleaned off my deck today. So the snow is finally melting. I got the snow blower out and it dried off pretty quick. If any of you guys are starting to build your content creation and you're doing some Amazon affiliates, once you get to a certain size, there's a program called Amazon Influencers. I signed up for it for just about a year ago. Never did much with it until a couple of months ago. Uploaded a bunch of videos and then didn't touch them. I thought they weren't working. Turns out you get a separate ID, and they're starting to. I had 5 videos that made about $90 a month for the last 2 months, and I didn't do anything else. Just put up 5 60-second vertical videos. So it's something, if you're interested, to look into. I don't know the requirements. I think I applied once and got turned down, and then later on I applied again and got into it. So there it is. What else to tell you? Oh, Batrix I told you about. So I posted the video on TikTok. It went semi-viral. It's got about 800,000 views, which is awesome. They reached out to me. They're sending a bunch of free batteries. We're going to do some testing, do a giveaway. It's going to be great. A fellow member of the workshop had an incredible week this week. Brian Alexovich from the Lots Project had a video on Facebook go over 1 million, which is friggin' awesome. If that doesn't show persistence, I don't know what does. So check his stuff out as well, guys. Changed out a rotten sink strainer this week. It was rusted all the way through, fell to pieces, and it was it was an easy change. I only needed a couple of tools. Knock on wood. But while I was there, I found some rot in the floor, and I discovered I needed to replace a washing machine. So that's how it goes. Hey, Dowie Farm. We got Dowie Farm in the live stream tonight. I love that. Almost looks like Duckman for the profile picture. That's a deep cut. Anybody out there remember Duckman, voiced by Jason Alexander from the mid to late 90s? Kind of like a crasser version of Howard the Duck, if that's possible. But anyway, I did quite a bit of work today and yesterday on polishing up my Living Free in Tennessee presentation. Super nice, super excited. And I can't wait. It's going to be a burner. You know what, guys? Let's slide into our first caller this evening. And I got all kinds of notes here. So if we end up having a segment where we don't have somebody come on, I'll cover it. If not, we'll do it all in another episode. So with that, who do we have here? Noster Dumbass. That is just the greatest name ever. So can you hear me out there?
Paperboy? Hey, Paperboy, how you doing?
Hey, what's up, Tim?
This is absolutely awesome.
I figured I'd pop in and say, hey, quick, I'm sitting here in the dark. I'm about to hit the road and grab a few adult beverages on the way home, but figured I'd pop in and say, hey, before I listen into the rest of your show.
Well, I appreciate it. I think it's the first time you've been on in a long time, hasn't it?
It's been a while, dude. Yeah, we need to do it again one time.
We absolutely will. I'm thinking about that a lot. This summer is going to be crazy, but we'll. So for those who don't know, this isn't actually, a dollar store impersonation of Nostradamus. This is actually the renegade butcher himself, Josh, I believe, right?
Yeah, that's me. That's me.
He is
Just being a dumbass.
our fellow crypto evangelist in the workshop community. Him and Brian. If it weren't for you guys, you drug me kicking and screaming into the Lightning Network. So I appreciate you for it.
Well, we were not the first, but we'll drag as many people down as we can with us.
Absolutely. So you had some big news. I don't know how long you have, but you had some big news recently, didn't you?
Yeah, I've had a lot of big news lately, actually. But yeah, I did a whole thing on Brian's show the other night. You should check him out on the Lots Project. But yeah, I ended up on the Expert Council on the Survival Podcast. I've got a couple of segments on there now, answering questions, and I'm part of the MSB. So if you like spices and shit, go to renegadebutcher.com and use your MSB discount.
Josh loves the spicy lifestyle. Don't ask him to expand on it, but yes. So
ask Brian.
What is
He'll
this?
tell you.
What is this Spice of the Month Club?
Basically, I do. I'm shipping out like 4-ounce packs of seasoning to people, but people who are part of the club will get extra stuff that I don't normally market to everybody else. I was kind of marketing it just to my Telegram group and stuff like that privately. Small batch stuff that I can't really do in mass, where it's like I smoke like smoked salts and veggies and things like that and dry it and then hand blend it. So I make small batches of like custom seasoning that it's not really doable on large scale. They've done really well. Everybody really loves them. Brian's wife, Corey, just was absolutely losing her mind that she went through the 3rd bottle of it. So, but yeah, I have to limit who I can give that to. So folks who sign up for the Spice of the Month Club basically get to order what they want for the month. They could sign up for 1, 2, 3, however many packages they want, and they'll be in the club for getting one of the small batch things as the added gift for being part of the club. So that's like my cool membership perk thing that I'm doing, along with doing all kinds of spices and seasonings and custom blending and stuff like that.
So John Dowie says he needs that in his life. So if you don't have a connection to John Dowie, I will. I
know John. We were in the Wingtober competition together. In fact, the Wingtober competition is what birthed the rooster dust that I'm selling in my renegadebutcher.com website, and that was my first consideration for a seasoning of the month club spice. I decided to just make a permanent edition.
See, I love that. There's no end to the circular support that happens in our communities, dude. I think that's going to be one of the craziest things ever.
I love it. I love it. In fact, if you want to go over to Poultry Projects, that website, me and Dowie collaborated on that, and I haven't done shit with it in months, but I kind of built it and left it as I went into deer season. So I've seen some people have signed up for that. But yeah, we've done some stuff together. Dowie's cool as shit.
What's the key to building something great like you're doing? Oh, and I lost him. He is in. There he goes. So live radio at its best, folks. So I think we lost poor Josh, but that's okay. He got tired of talking to me, and no, his service where he lives is shady at the best of times. So it was good to have you. Oh, and he's back on. Let's bring him back on. Hang on, bring you in. There he is. Hey, you're back.
Yeah, if you're on a phone, don't hit the back button by accident.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
You were saying what's the key to something, and I lost it.
Oh yeah. What's the key to launching a project? Because most people
shit
paralyzed with fear.
Just go fucking do it. I would love to tell you the key to like launching a successful project, and I'll tell you when my shit's really successful. But but no, just find a thing and do it. But I mean, I'd say probably the most important thing is pay attention to what people want and listen. The only reason I even started the seasoning at all, or any of the stuff that I'm doing now, is because people kept hammering at me like, you should sell seasonings. And then I started paying attention to what people actually liked that I sold, and what I had in my head that I was trying to market, because that's what I do normally for my business, was not the same thing as what the average like home consumer wanted.
Right.
So when I started thinking about it and paying attention to that, it started to come together. So I guess, I mean, listen to your market, listen to the people who are your biggest cheerleaders, and do what they're looking for. Find a way to do what they want, and you'll have customers.
Have you done anything so far that didn't work out for you?
Oh, I've done a shitload of things that haven't worked out for me. Tim, God, I don't even know where to start, but you have to do all those things before you can find what does work.
Really? So you have to fail a few times before you might succeed?
You're probably going to fail a whole fucking lot of times before you succeed. And I'm not even going to say I've like succeeded, but I mean, I've done a lot of shit and some things have worked out pretty good, but a lot of things have not worked out really well. But you just got to go do things. And most of the time, if you're actually willing to put the work in, at the very least, you could probably break even on them. And you'll never know till you try.
So what you're saying is if somebody's out there looking to do something great, the last thing they should do is sit around and not do anything at all?
Well, if they don't do anything at all, they'll never fucking know, will they?
Ain't that the truth?
Right?
I love it.
The only way to know is to try and get out there and fail. And you know what? Failing is the best way to learn.
Because if you don't try something, like you said, you're not gonna create anything great.
Right. And the only way to really know what doesn't work is to go out and do what doesn't work until you figure it out.
How do you blend your spices? How do you come up with things?
Well, it just depends on what it is. Some things I kind of base off a recipe. If somebody has a suggestion, like they know, hey, I want a smoked Chipotle sweet sausage.
Yes.
I'll look up recipes that are out there already. I'll kind of fiddle around and play with it. I'll usually do a few tests and stuff like that and come up with something that they're expecting. If somebody just says, hey, I've got a brisket, I'm smoking, I don't care, I just want it done, I'll get creative with it and play. I've done a lot of experimenting with different recipes and stuff, especially when it comes to meat type things over the years. So I've usually got a pretty good baseline. Otherwise, I'll look up other recipes and things like that, and I'll try them, and then I'll tweak them, and base it on my preferences or what I think they want. So far, it's worked out really good.
I got one more question. We got 2 minutes left. I got one more question for you.
All right, shoot.
Extol the virtues of the chuck eye steak for us. The people.
Oh God, the chuck eye steak. Lord, we've we talked about that a couple times in your group. I did a couple for lunch. Was it yesterday or day before? That it's actually a really good steak. If people know what a ribeye is, obviously.
Oh yeah.
But a chuck eye, so that muscle that is the ribeye, that is that portion of the loin of a cow. It does continue a little bit on either side of it. On one end, it goes into the New York strip, which is why New York strip is a similar steak, especially on some of them. And the other direction, it goes under the chuck, which is the shoulder. So it's part of the whole chuck roll. So when you get a chuck steak and you look at it and you go, wow, that kind of looks like a ribeye down there on the bottom underneath that bone that goes through it. Yeah, it's because that is the same muscle. It's not every chuck steak, but you'll tell the ones that are. You can see that eye in the bottom of it. So that when they cut that out, there's usually only about 4 of them that are about 1.5 inches thick per beef, 2 on each side, and it's exactly the same muscle. You lose the fat cap that runs across the top because it goes under the shoulder, but it is basically the same thing as a ribeye. I think it's a little bit more tender. Maybe it's in my head, but what I can tell you is if you're buying it retail off the shelf, it's usually about half the price. I bought some the other day for $8.99. It's usually like $6, $7.99.
Oh, and slather it in butter while you're letting it rest.
Oh yeah. Yep. If you're while you're letting it rest, or if you're cooking it, say you're pan frying it, you can always baste it with butter or bacon grease or something else like that. Throw a little bit on it while you're letting it rest, throw a little bit on it towards the tail end, whatever. Adding a little extra oil helps because you lose that fat cap, but that's always good no matter what steak I do. Even if I'm doing a ribeye, I like a little bit extra fat in there. I like to baste it and get those flavors in there. It helps to impart any of those aromatics and flavors into the steak while you're doing it. It's just a good way to cook a steak, but it's hard to go wrong with it. And for under $10 a pound for steak anymore, damn, you really can't beat it.
Well, brother, thank you very much for dropping in. I appreciate you.
Hey, no problem. Looking forward to listening into the rest of it as I drive home, man.
Thanks, Nostradamus. Have a good night.
We'll see you later, man. All right, bye.
So that was our first guest this evening, guys. I love this call-in format. John Dowie, if you're out there still listening and you're driving and you want to come on, I'll send the link out again. Here's the link for everybody in the live chat in case anybody wants to join. Not just John Dowie. I'd love to have anybody and everybody on. Doesn't matter what you want to talk about. We'll pick the subject. We'll ask questions. We'll shoot the shit. It'll be fun. So In the meantime, while we're waiting for our next call-in guest, remember, turn your radio off when you call in so we don't get feedback. And call in from a landline, especially, dial tone, rotary phone especially. They're way more reliable than this newfangled cell phone technology. So remember that, folks. Everybody wanted to know about the knife course we took recently. So I figured I'd do a quick rundown on what we did. And it was a hell of a lot of fun. Chris Dixon is the one, again, the power of community, folks. I say it, I talk about it, but we're fucking living it, and it is what we need to do. Here's the deal. Chris was like, he called me 2-3 months ago, and he said, hey, Tim, when your snow contracts are done, I think do you want to do a knife course? Well, what the hell's that? Sounds fun to me. I like cutting myself or learning how to make things. So he took care of it all, booked the hotel, booked the course for us, and booked it for the first weekend after my snow contracts were done. So it was in Red Deer, which for those of you who don't know, it is a Renegade Butcher says, welcome to North Pole AM. Yes. Coast to coast to coast, up and over the North Pole, covering all 25 time zones. Anyway, so from there, we went to Red Deer last weekend, which is considered a city, and it's exactly between Edmonton and Calgary, two places that most Americans have heard of. Anyhow, it was a lot of fun. It was out in an industrial park. The guy just has an industrial bay with all his gear set up. It's $300 a head. He told me he did well over 1,000 knives last year, which is incredible. I think it's the company's Twisted Steel Blacksmithing out of Red Deer. So if anybody's listening from Alberta, go and do it. He has all the gear. You go in. All he tells you is to make sure you wear clothes that won't stick to you if they burn. So that's important. He provides the PPE. He provides the lunch. He provides the cold drinks. He just wants you to come with an open mind and a rough idea of what kind of knife you want. When you get there, they lay out about 50 cardboard cutouts of all these different knife designs that you might want to do. You pick one, you pick the scrap metal, the good metal, whatever you want to make it out of. And then they let you loose with the plasma cutter. You cut it out. They give you a grinder, a nice big grinder everybody's set up at to clean off all the slag. From there, they get the forge up and running. They heat it 3 or 4 times, heat treat it, then you oil quench it. Then they let it slowly cool down in a toaster oven for an hour and a half to finish the temper. You pick out the wood, you pick out the pins that you want to put in it. And when you are done, guys, I put out a TikTok video today, but in 8 hours, you go from scrap metal to an heirloom, something that you're going to be able to hand down to your grandchildren when you don't need the knife anymore. So it was a blast. I learned a lot. Chris went because he really wanted to learn some stuff, to up his forging game. He went home this weekend and built himself a custom knife as well. They also let him use the big power hammer, did some, what would you call it? It was the power hammer, but forge welding. And I'm just like a little kid in a candy store asking all kinds of questions, but I left a better person. And when I was talking to the gentleman that runs the place, he said, you know what it is today? People just don't make anything with their hands anymore. And people are looking for an experience. And that's exactly what this is. So if you're ever wondering, should I go to one of those one-day knife courses? Yeah, I would say absolutely. And get a bunch of buddies together. A bunch of ladies, a bunch of guys, whatever, family. For us, it was Chris, his 3 sons, and me and my son, Mac. And it was worth it. We went down the night before to a hotel, maybe or maybe not drank too much bourbon, and had a great time. So yeah, it was worth it, guys. There's a 1-minute video on TikTok and all the platforms that just does a quick overview of everything we did. I'll probably put together a longer cut of that video eventually just to show you, but it was a hell of a time. So yeah, if you're thinking about it, give it a go and yeah, try it out. So remember, phone lines are open, guys. You don't have to come on if you're nervous and don't want to show your face. You can just click audio only. All you have to do, click the StreamYard invite link that's in the YouTube comments, then put in your name and click join the live stream, and I will bring you on. So from that, guys, it was something we haven't gone back and looked at for a while. And I'm just going to throw up the invite link again there in the chat for everyone. And if you're on Facebook chat, you can click that link as well. Something we haven't talked about in a little while is Fountain. fountain.fm, and I love that platform, and I get almost half of all of my audio downloads come from that platform. And what's great is it's a value for value where you can both tip content creators with sats, which are, little tiny pieces of Bitcoin, or better than that, what I really like is the boostograms. And it is one of the first places that offered direct creator consumer interaction on the podcast end of things. So I wanted to share some of the best boostograms I got this last month. So here's a couple of things, guys. I don't know if I say often enough how much I appreciate everyone out there and when you share all of my shit for me. Okay. So if you're ever thinking, I wonder, should I share it? The answer is absolutely yes. But I wanted to, so boostograms are friggin' awesome. I love it because it just lets me know, hey, somebody's out there. They're more than just a number or a download on a sheet. It's somebody who, they listen to it and some of this meant something to them. Clips are absolutely awesome. If you want to share clips on Fountain, it's a real simple process. You just take a little snippet out of the podcast and then share it. It's a great way for you to earn sats and also to share the content from other people. Now, Erin's great. Every time I post a live stream, she likes it, shares it. So over on Facebook, that's the best way to support. If you're looking, so I say all this because I really, really do appreciate it. So thank you. And if a certain podcast just really hits you, you're like, hey, holy shit, Tim was on fire tonight for once in a blue moon. And this episode really spoke to me, or I know people who might really want to listen to it. Well, then give it a share on social. That is the easiest, freest way that you can support the content that we put on. Absolutely. And Erin says, I love Fountain. That's the only one I use for podcasts. That's how I listen to all mine, so that the creators that I listen to will also get supported with sats. I love that. Nostr, that we're going to talk about tomorrow night, is another way to get involved in Satoshis. Nate says, got sidetracked. I need to learn how to make a knife, and Fountain is awesome. Great way to support the creators. Absolutely it is. So I wanted to touch on that because I haven't touched on the boostograms in a while. And there's a few people over there that boost all the time. And there is nobody bigger. I don't have a bigger booster supporter than Jim. And I don't know if I'm going to pronounce it right, but it's Jim Seifert. He is the one. He shares my stuff. He clips my stuff. And he almost always sends me a positive message on episodes. So if you guys listen to the recent one, Analog Life in a Digital World, was a great episode, if I might say so. No, it was just a fun one. I like that. I like retro things. There's something about nostalgia that it is enjoyable. But he just said, boost. I still have a Palm Pilot kicking around somewhere. So if you guys don't remember, there are, anyway, Palm Pilots were the predecessor to smartphones, and they were a lot of fun. I used to have a fold-out keyboard to take notes. It folded up to the size of a smartphone, and it would allow you to take notes in class. And it seemed like at the time that was the best technology there ever would be. This one comes from Jen in Indy. This was from the 12 Pillars of Preparedness on Planning. Say that 3 times fast. Said, great show, Tim. I wanted to know what simple syrup substitute I use for my old fashions. So I think I said it here. It's completely dark and I knocked it over. Hang on, guys. Let me grab that for you. There we go. Can't see anything in the darkness. So this is the simple syrup I've been using. I love Torani. I typically used to use the sugar version. Now, of course, not everybody loves sugar substitutes, so it's totally up to you. But for me, it's just to keep the carbs out of them. This has sucralose in it, but it tastes, to me, just like the standard vanilla Torani simple syrup. So this is the one I've been using. I thought I would show you. And do yourself a favor and buy a little pump. They're a couple extra bucks, or buy the bottle that comes with it. And it makes it simple, easy for measuring. So there you go. Jen, I hope you enjoyed that. Jesse Workshop boosted 2,000 sats on the 12 Pillars of Preparedness. And that was, he said, fantastic as always, Tim. Always gives me something to think about. And this one will be something to discuss with the missus. Appreciate it. The next one, this was a good one. This came from, if you remember EMT Don, he came on a couple weeks ago, Confessions of an Ambulance Driver. RDG3 said, hey, I used to be an EMT. This episode hit home really hard. Felt a lot of emotions, had to stop the podcast and return to finish later. I love hearing that. It is what it is, right? So yeah, I enjoy hearing that. Aaron says, oh, here we go. Renegade says, what simple syrup substitution should a soul searching for sweet substances slip into solutions? There you go. That was pretty good. First try too. Hey, we have our next caller on the wildcard line. Hang on and we will bring him on, or him or her. Just kidding. Good evening, Mr. Dowie. How art thou?
What's up, man? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Good.
Good. We're going to talk about the NFL and no, I'm just kidding. How you been?
I'm good, man. I just working like crazy as usual.
What are your for those who don't know who John Dowie is, who the hell is John Dowie?
Oh man, I'm an international man of mystery. I'm not allowed out of the country, so I can't possibly be an international man of mystery. No, I'm just running a micro farm and slinging barrels up here in New Hampshire, down from you,
yes.
From most other people. Yeah, so I don't know. You're like, you should call in. I'm like, okay, but I don't know what I'm going to say at all. So
don't
I'll
worry
just
about
call
it.
in.
That's why I put you on the spot. I'm like, I'm going to ask him a hard question, like, who is he? And then that'll really fuck him up,
I don't like to talk about myself.
I know.
Yeah, right. That's
so John is a juggler of many hats or many side hustles. And I almost caused me to eat a lot of chicken wings till I pussied out last year, but I think maybe I'll give it a go this year. So,
yeah.
Renegade says you're a national man of subterfuge.
Hang on while I look that word up.
Yeah, I know. That's a 10-cent word on a 2-cent podcast. Come on, guys. Smarten up.
You consult the book of knowledge.
So if I ever start a talk radio program with a co-host, it'll have to be John Dowie, because I think we could just anything in particular that has got you to the point where you felt like you needed to rant in the last little while?
Oh man, I went off on something earlier today, but I go off on so many rants. You want me to rant about ranting?
Yes, I would love that.
I go off on so many rants, and then at the end of the rant, I always go, "Oh, that was pretty good. I need to write some of this down," and then I never do. And then literally, so this happened the other day. I was at my mechanics, and I was just going off about something random, and I still cannot remember what it was now. And whatever it was there were like 6-7 people hanging out there. It was pure comedic gold, 100% by accident. And at the end, everybody's laughing. I was like, oh, I should write this down. And of course I did not. And then the next day I'm on my phone texting my mechanic going, hey, do you have any recollection whatsoever of whatever I was talking about? And he said, no. He's like, I don't even know what you were here yesterday. Like, that was basically his response. So that's an issue. That's a self issue though. Like, the thought of carrying around a notepad, I don't know. I could never do anything like that. Like, thank God I was born a man, because if I were a woman, I would, like, women carrying purses. I would lose my mind over having to carry something around like a purse, right? So my wife and I will go to the mall, and if she buys something, I can't carry that bag. It drives me nuts. Like, I don't want anything to do with carrying anything around long term. So I heard you talking about the waterproof notepads the other day.
Yes.
And I bought those in 2020 when I was putting a roof on my garage. And I was like, I'm going to need to write measurements. I'm going to be sweating my balls off because it's July, August, whatever. And it was great when I remembered it. But I just am never going to – I can't remember what I said. When am I going to remember to carry some shit around? That's not happening. So – I don't know. I ranted about some other stuff earlier today, but I was alone all day though, and I was selling things. So some poor customer was subjected to my rant.
Do you save the same rant for each customer, or do you have a new one for each one as they come in? Do you think?
I admittedly will try out something on multiple people.
Yes,
which
me too.
Probably makes me a sociopath.
No, I don't think so. I mean, how is that any different from a stand-up comedian who continuously tries out jokes to see how the material works?
That's the hidden goal.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think
That's
we
all I
should put
want.
together a fucking, I've been thinking about that actually, all kidding aside, some sort of anarchist or prepper stand-up comedian thing. I think it would be fucking golden. I believe anyway.
So undisclosed information from last TSP workshop, which I didn't see you there.
No, I know. Fuck.
And,
Stop busting my balls, man. I know.
I fucking signed up for that. I wasn't going to go. And then I was like, I'm going to go because Tim's going to go. And that other guy that does the chicken tractor thing. And both of you canceled.
I know. What a fucking dickhead I am. I know.
But then I turned it into a trip to bring my kid to see my mom. So it was okay. She lives out in West Texas.
Nice.
So it worked out in the end. And actually, honestly, I should have just done that and not done the workshop. I shouldn't say that out loud, but it was the money. It was like I spent way too much money putting myself, because I'm not a sleep outside on the ground guy, because
I understand. Neither am I.
Because I'm not a fucking caveman.
Yes.
So can I swear?
Oh, fuck yeah. Go for it.
Yeah. It's like, you like how I ask after I drop a hard F. So I always get an Airbnb, or I always get a hotel. This year I get an Airbnb, which was the way to go, except for, you'll appreciate this on the workshop. The week before I left town, my shower valve, I had one of those Simmons Temptrol shower valves. I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yep.
And they make those right near me and whatever, but I've always hated it. I've had it for 13 years since I bought the house. I've always fucking hated it. It never quite gave me any real pressure, which I know isn't always the valve, and it never would really give me hot water. And I had gutted it and replaced all the guts before and all this stuff. Anyway, I finally parted ways with the thing. I was taking cold showers for like 4 days, and I'm not a fan of cold showers. You know, I'm not that manly. So I went and bought some Moen, whatever we're calling that.
Moen. Yeah, Moen. Yeah.
Like 2 years ago, I bought this faucet and I never installed it. Well, anyway, the thing finally shit the bed, and I'm leaving for a week. So I can't leave the wife and at the time, like 18-month-old baby or whatever. So with no hot water in the shower. So I took the wall apart behind the fucking shower, because there's a little cove back there. When I do plumbing at my house, I don't just replace the valve. I replumb the whole fucking thing, right?
I understand.
At this point, I think I'm pulling shit out that I put in 5 years ago and putting new stuff in place of the new stuff. But so I did that. Fine. Everything was great. It took me like 3 days. I swore that I'll never do that to myself again. I will hire a plumber. So then I get on a plane. I fly to Texas. I get my rental car. I stop and get a haircut, kind of treat myself because I don't even get days off. I stopped somewhere and got a steak. I'm like, this day is fantastic. Checked into my Airbnb. It's on a lake, fucking beautiful area. The drive to it was fantastic. I go in and I look at the shower, because I like this, because my shower at home has always sucked. I like a hot, high pressure shower, Yeah. And hotels always have that. So I go in, I'm like, oh, I wonder what this shower is going to be like. I go in and I see glorious 1960s plumbing, right? No fucking check, or no, what's that called? Mixing valves, none of that bullshit. Just turn the knobs and the water comes straight from the fucking depths of hell with blowing steam out, right? Yep. So I turn the fucking hot water on because I want to know how hot it's going to get, and nothing comes out. Zero. Just dead. So I messaged the Airbnb guy, and he's like, oh, we always have problems with this. And he's like, I'm in Colorado. And I'm like, well, you're in luck, bro. You got the right guy. I'll go down to Home Depot and get the shit to fix this faucet. So I spent the 3 days before I went to Texas fixing a faucet, and I landed in Texas and immediately fixed a faucet.
Oh, my God.
So I'm expecting my cape anytime in the mail.
Did he give you a cut on the price for doing the work or what?
Yeah, he did.
I
sent him receipts, and he sent me back the money, and then he knocked like a night off or something. I made out. Like he knocked like $50-$60 off or something like that. So that was good. So
you messaged me earlier, but you're the barrel king. So what are you doing lately to make more money out of your barrels?
So what I do is I take pictures of myself nude in the barrels and I post them on OnlyFans.
See, now the problem with that is I would lose money if I did that.
That's not what you were. Oh, you were referring to something else? I wasn't supposed to disclose that.
Oh, hey, no, if you whatever you're into, brother. I mean, maybe it'll get you on the anyway. Yeah.
So I don't do that. Although
No.
I did want to start a Dowie Farm OnlyFans page and just have pictures of fans around the farm. I'm sure I'm not the first person to ever think of this, but I thought it would be great. I never did it, though. Another one on the back burner. As we were talking about on the phone, back burner projects have come to the front. I'm making planters out of half barrels and just 2x4s. So I sold planters for this old guy who fucked me over 3 years ago. And so he was building planters. He'd always done this. And then he was buying half cut barrels off me, and we were bartering and all this stuff. And then he kind of screwed me. That's a long story. So I was always like, I can do this and I can probably do this better.
Yeah.
He made these beautiful looking planters, but he was making them out of like regular 1x4s. And that's no good on an outside project, Yeah. So I got so annoyed with him at one point. I just said, fuck you. I know I've already bought these planters off you, but I'm not going to sell them, even though I've already paid. So I kept them for myself. And a year later, they look like shit 1 year later because they're regular wood. And
Right.
I'm not going to finish them. But anyway, I don't like selling shitty products. So I was like, these need to be pressure treated. But to build this beautiful planter with a frame, pressure treated wood would be a fortune. So I figured out, well, I didn't figure shit out. I found a YouTube video of a guy who takes 2x4s and makes a cross joint. And then, so he cuts 2 36-inch lengths and then you got one 24-inch left over. And I don't know what the fuck that is in metric, so don't ask. And then he makes a cross joint and then he connects them with the 24-inch piece. And, then he puts a half barrel on top. Well, I have this massive supply of barrels. And they're all food grade, 60-gallon barrels. And I'm like, this is perfect. So I made a few. I gave 2 to my dad for his birthday, he's turned 80 last week. And I only used like 3-inch deck screws, the nice tan weatherproof deck screws.
Yeah.
And I put 4 in each joint. And the ones I set up for him, I set them up as a wicking bed, which is an upsell I'm doing.
Ooh.
And it's expensive, but it's nice because you'll never water it if you're in a normal climate, so north of Pennsylvania. So, like up here, I've been testing these out for 2 years now. And with the amount of rain we get, me and 2 other customers that were running them never watered them. We filled them up at the beginning of the year, added some fertilizer, never touched them again. And they just produce. Awesome? So it's nice. I'm going to make a video of them at some point because it'll be good advertising too. But anyway, so I'm making these and they're just a cross joint basically. So I made a couple last week and then I had luckily a pile of billboard tarps, which is something else I sell, fall down on them. And the one was super weak. And I was like, well, that's no good. Cause like I have to think about the fact that some dickhead is going to get these planters, put them in their backyard under their eave, and then it's going to fucking fill up with water. Right?
Yes.
And it's going to weigh 210 pounds. Okay. And 2 80-pound or 40 or 80, I don't remember now, tarps are on it and it's weak. So that's not even 210 pounds. So I'm like, I have to redesign. So back to the drawing boards. So now I'm out there with my shitty Ryobi table saw and a nice dado blade, looking at the blade spin towards my head, thinking at any moment, this arbor could just let loose and I could just lose my head. Anyway, I did like 16 of them today.
Nice.
But yeah, and I was talking to you about how I could set up a situation where I wouldn't have to, measure and make a little mark on the wood and follow that mark every time, how I could set a guide up. But I need a bigger table on my table saw to even think about doing that. So that's when I started perusing Facebook Marketplace for table saws, which there's an abundance of here. And I found that weird work thing I sent you.
What are you going to retail them for? Do you know yet?
Oh, yeah. So, sorry, I went off on a tangent.
Oh, no, I don't fucking go for it. Yeah.
So I started them at 60 each or 2 for $100. And then I basically within 2 days had to make 30.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, fuck me. And my garage was a shit show. And I was not prepared for that. So I was like, oh, I'll just whip them out. I'll make a little workspace out on the lawn. And then it was raining all the time. And I was like, all right, I have to clean the garage. So I cleaned up garage. I cleaned up the garage and I cleaned that out. And I don't know, man, every little workstation was a mess. So like I have a Harbor Freight drill press. I got a nice Ryobi chop saw. I did that right back when they were still blue. And I got an okay Ryobi table saw. It's fine. It does the work. It's just not like a beast. It's the low end one from back when they were blue though, before they turned them into that puke green color and they all suck. But so we were 60 each, 2 for $100. I immediately took away the 2 for deal because I was like, no way, And then I raised the price to 75, and then I stopped getting messages.
Okay,
which is fine. Because I didn't need to take any more orders right away, and I didn't want to take the ad down. So I'm going to go back at 60 and no 2 for deal is what I'm going to do when I'm caught back up. And to turn it into a wicking bed, I'm charging I can't remember, but I want to say it's like 160.
Okay.
Because we're talking a 2 cubic foot bag of soil, about a cubic foot of perlite, which is kind of expensive. Not for me, but in general.
Sure.
Because I get 6 fucking pallets of perlite every year delivered. So, and then I was putting that drain tubing in, that black perforated drain tubing in the bottom to take up room for but I think that's more expensive than perlite.
It is. It's
like $140 a foot or some shit. So I take those and I wrap them with landscape fabric, put those in the bottom, dump perlite in there. Am I up against my time limit here?
You've gone past. I got another guy in the thing, but you're okay.
I'll finish
give you another minute.
Sure. I dump perlite in there, landscape fabric, soil, and then out the bung. There's a word. I drill that out. And that's all. Just so everybody knows, a 2-inch bung, the center of a 2-inch bung is actually 3/4 inch PVC thread.
Right.
Yeah. So, or NTP, whatever, MPT. So I put a fitting in there, and then you have a level of the water level gauge on the side, and then I put a fill tube in, and you're good to go. But all that material kind of adds up, and it's a lot of time for me to build them. So 160, get them while they last.
And to finish up, what do you charge for a plain old fucking blank barrel? If I just bought a barrel from you,
$25.
$25. So you took a $25 barrel, you turned it into a $60 planter and $100 and some wicking bed.
Yeah, beautiful.
That's how you do it, brother.
And it's pressure treated wood.
And it should last.
Yeah. With that dado joint and the 2 bolts that I'm using now and the pressure treated wood. I mean, I don't know. Maybe you'll give it to your kids.
And it's made by a grumpy New Englander with a legitimate accent. So I appreciate that. Yes.
That's right. All right, man. I'll let you go. So I got to get to work. I got to plumb water into my new second grow room.
Well, have fun with your bung holes, and we'll get you on for a full episode one of these days.
See you later, buddy.
Take care, brother. See ya. Let's open up the phone lines again. We're going to go to the west of the Rockies line. Hello, you're live on the air. Who do we have this evening? You're still muted, sir. Turn down your radio. I can see him. He's still muted. Oh, let me see. Maybe it's on my end. Nope, not on my end. There we go. We'll get him. There he is.
How about that?
Brother Dixon, how art thou?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
Not bad. I haven't seen you in 6 days.
6 days, yeah. Miss me?
Yeah, a little bit, yes. Yeah.
You got your wife home now?
I do. So she, you were a good substitute for the weekend, so that's wrong on so many levels. So
that's terrible. You cut yourself yet?
What's that?
Did you cut yourself yet?
No, I've been pretty good. So it hasn't been horrible. I've been careful with it. It's a heavy knife. Becky was quite impressed with it, actually.
Cool. That's good.
So you you actually missed it. I think you come in a little late on the show, but I did a quick recap of the knife course. What did you take away from it?
Oh man, it was awesome. That was like, my boys still talk about it. They were super stoked. They love the things that they built. And yeah, I don't know. We're talking about going back.
I would totally go back. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was fun. You know what I'd love to do? I know he mentioned the hatchet, doing a hatchet, a 2-day course. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So you tried it
That'd
at
be
home
super
this
cool.
weekend, did you?
Yeah, I did actually. Just today.
How'd it go?
I thought, well, it went well. Yeah, well, there it is.
So how do you get that? That checkering in your blade there?
No, so all that is just the grind. This is a farrier's rasp, so it's got really sharp teeth, like really heavy teeth on it. So just as you grind it, it just smooths them out and it grinds away and it becomes kind of a checker pattern. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
It looks so good. Because I mean, you went, I'm not with an ulterior motive, but you went to that course to kind of learn how to do it yourself as well, right?
I did. Yeah, you bet.
And what
it was mainly to do something cool with my boys, but I did have an ulterior motive to go and learn how to do it myself.
And your boys were good, man. They're hilarious. They, I can't remember which one I asked. I said, what are you into? And I thought he said he wanted to learn the katana, but he said the guitar. So that was good.
That was Kyle. That's funny. We still talk about that.
How I was going to tell him, I mean, unless your name's Renegade Butcher, I don't know how a katana is a good life skill, but whatever you're into, right? So,
yeah, well, it worked out in The Walking Dead, right?
Yeah, it's true. It really did. Yeah, Renegade said do a sword. Yes, and Nate said a tomahawk would be fucking incredible.
Yeah, that'd be fun, and then go throw them.
Yes, not at people necessarily.
Well, not. Yeah. Maybe clean up downtown Red Deer a little bit.
That's true. Yes, it is. Yeah, we went downtown, and it's a very small downtown, but it's a rough downtown. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, it is. It is.
So what did you learn from the course so that you could take it home and do it?
Just a little bit more confidence, really. Because I'm a YouTube University graduate, right? And
sure.
Nobody's really a graduate, but just a little bit more confidence in doing some of that stuff is really kind of what I was after. And then, of course, I was hoping that we'd get to play with the power hammer,
And you did a little.
Yeah, did a little bit of that, so that was fun. But that's really all I wanted to do, and just kind of just see how they shaped handles and things like that, right? It's easier to watch somebody else do it like live and then try it on your own. But
so, what do you got coming up for projects? What do you? I know you're always juggling a lot of things, but what are you looking to make money on lately?
Actually, right now, nothing. I'm just kind of helping out at the body shop, and that's it. Just working for an hourly wage right now. So
everything.
But I'll have.
Go ahead. No, you're good.
I'll have things coming up here in the next couple of weeks. So I got a couple of reno things to do and stuff that'll keep me busy for 6 weeks or so.
Nice. Right on. And what are you going to build? What's your next project to build in the forge?
In the forge, well, I'm just blasting out just small stuff right now, like slingshots and rail spike stuff, just to get ready for the trade show at the end of the month. So I guess that's my next big thing that I'm going to try and make money on, is take some of my blacksmith stuff to the trade show. But
nice.
Yeah.
And if somebody wanted to build a small little forge, is it something you can build without buying anything expensive, or do you have to really spend some money to do something decent?
No, you can do it for probably about $150 US.
Okay.
Yeah. You can, and it's just something small. Like, even if you were just trying to build some small little blades and just wanted to heat treat them,
yep,
you could do that quite easily for under $100, I think.
Really? What's the main piece that you'd need? What do you use?
Well, I think just the biggest thing that you would need is probably something like KO wool or refractory cement, and you could just do it in a paint can.
Okay.
Like, because remember that forge? Well, remember the forge that they had there? It wasn't very thick on the outside, but it was lined really, really thick inside.
Yeah.
Remember how we touched the outside of it after we'd ran it for a while, and it was like just warm.
Yeah.
Right. So you could do it with a paint can, and as long as you've got something to hold that heat in, and burners are cheap to build, like they take nothing to build them. A little bit of fittings and a little bit of pipe, and even if you can't weld, take it to somebody and they can do a tack weld for you. It's not a big deal. So
Nate's got a question for you. He said, do you got a suggestion for stones or beginner sharpening kits, Chris?
Well, you can't beat that Lansky setup. Like for a beginner, it's pretty dummy proof. Like if a toolman and a blacksmith can do it, anybody can do it, right? So.
And it works. Funny you mentioned it. I used the Lansky today, and that it just puts. You don't have to work at it, like you said. It allows a toolman and a blacksmith to be able to do it themselves. You know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's cheap. Like it's not a super expensive setup either, right?
Of course, like everything, it's gone up. I think when I bought it, it was it 40 or 50 Canadian? I think it's now up around maybe 70 or 80, something like that, which is like $4 American. So it really doesn't matter, does it?
That's right. You could just take in the bottles and go buy one. So
yeah, and it lasts. Mine's been almost 2 years, and the blade, the stones are still 3/4 there. I can see how you would need to buy a replacement stone, especially the fine ones. They tend to grind down a little quicker, but I love them. They work great.
Yeah.
Renegade says he's seen folks build forges from a few pipes, sand, and a propane torch. He's ever seen anything like that?
A few pipes? No, nothing like that.
I'm wondering.
I mean, you can do it that way because that's how we used to do branding irons and stuff. Like we would just dig a hole in the ground, fill it full of sand, and run a tiger torch in it. And I mean, it got stuff red hot. Like it was smoking hot in there. So
did you have
it could be done?
Air coming in from it?
No, just like a weed burner, tiger torch idea.
Yeah.
As long as you don't bury the head, it's like an atmospheric burner, so it sucks air in behind the fuel or the flame, and that uses that. So just with sand, you got to be careful because if it gets too hot, it turns to glass, right? So,
yes, sir.
And that's where we were talking about those cheap fire bricks that are just for fireplaces. Yeah, I mean that's what I built my first forge out of, and then I had a nuclear meltdown, and they just kind of all folded in on themselves, and it was a gooey mess. It's terrible.
Are you serious? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because even on theirs, I noticed right around the edges of their forge, it had turned a little glassy in places. Like I don't think it would ever, because they probably get that some piping hot at times.
Oh yeah, especially if they're doing their forge welds, right? When they're doing that Damascus, that layered weld, so they're getting it like super hot. Yeah, and that's also from them running into it with things, right? It breaks that refractory up and gets the sand going again. But
when yours had the nuclear meltdown, did you get any of it on you, or was it pretty good? You didn't have
no. I just freaked out. I just freaked out and shut it down, and just stood there and watched it kind of melt into itself. It was kind of neat.
That's insane. So you just had those. For those who don't know, they're just kind of like a cream-colored fire brick, or some of them are gray now, aren't they?
Yeah, but they're only like an inch thick. Like they're 1 inch by 4 by 9, I think, something like that, and they're meant to line the bottom of a fireplace or something like that, right?
Right.
Like they're not meant for kiln.
You're never going to intentionally make it as hot as you would in a forge, right? So.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Renegade said it was smaller pipe inside of a much larger one with sand in between and a torch at the back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so same idea, I guess. As, they're kind of insulating that inside pipe with the sand, and then the outside pipe is really just holding everything together.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Because it's really...
it could definitely be doable.
You need a fuel source, you need insulation, and you need oxygen and a way to contain the heat, really.
Yeah, that's right.
Cool.
Yeah, that could work. I don't know that I'd want to try it. It sounds like a pipe bomb to me, but...
shit happens, So. Well, when are we going to get together again, Mr. Dixon?
So probably not till August, I would think.
Yes. I'm going to... Yeah. So I have one more thing I need to check with the town, and then we're going to make the announcement next week. So it'll be great.
Oh,
so for all those who are wondering, we are going to have an event here. I just have to make sure I know where we're going to have it. And then you'll get to meet, well, there's actually somebody from down south who wants to come up. And I can't give that away yet, but it's going to be a good time, I think. So
Nice. Well, I was going to say, even if it doesn't go off, I'm going to come visit you for a few days anyways.
Absolutely. You're always welcome. So,
For
right
sure.
on, brother. Thanks for dropping in. I always appreciate you.
Good night.
Have a good night. Well, guys, that's our third live guest, I think, of the evening. That's Mr. Dixon. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Little insight to the mind that is a blacksmith, somebody who plays with molten metal for the hell of it. So I always enjoy it. Chris and I are great buddies. And again, I don't know if I've told, I know I have, but for those who are new or have, because new people come along all the time, Chris took a big chance, not even 2 years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, just messaged me out of the blue. He's like, hey, I'm not crazy. That's a good way to start a conversation, but I am from Alberta and I need to come up your way. And I listened to you and I've heard you talk about the need to create community in person. And he's like, hey, do you want to have coffee? And I'm like, sure. I don't think I'll end up dead in a ditch somewhere. And so he showed up with his wife and we had coffee out in my shop. We freezed our baguettes off and we talked for probably 2 hours. And then he come up and spent a long weekend helping me work here. That's what it's all about, guys. It is hard. It's not an easy thing. Hey, Pipin, good to have you. It is not an easy thing to make real world connections. It is so much easier to make the connections online, virtually, because there's a little less at stake. If somebody doesn't like you, you just unfollow them, right? But in real life, things are ugly. You have to understand that everybody's a little bit different and we all get along great, but it just takes a little bit of time. And so if you're thinking, should I reach out to someone? The answer is yes. Make your real life connections, find your fellow anarchists, find whomever you're looking for and take a risk. And you know what? It'll probably work out. And it absolutely has. Yes. Right on. Yeah. Let me see. Nate just asked, he just dropped a link in Telegram to the Lansky system. We're going to see if we can bring this up here right quick for everybody. And I will share it in the YouTube comments. Give me one. Yes, that is exactly it, Nate. So it's called the Lansky Professional Sharpening System. And since we're talking about it, let's bring it up live here and show you guys so you can see what it looks like. Video slot. Whoops. Hang on here. Sorry, guys. Nope, that's not it either. Having a good night tonight trying to get this to come up. So it's the Lansky Professional Sharpening System. I got that for Christmas from my missus a couple of years ago. And it takes all of the hassle or headache out of doing something like that. It really just, it makes it easy. I love it. So let's bring this up. So you get 5 stones with it. Right now, the American price is $50 and it goes from extra coarse to extra fine. Truth be told, I basically only use the 3 middle ones. So coarse, medium, and fine. So this right here, that is the clamp. Oh, they've made an upgrade. They put 2 thumb nuts on it now instead of a thumb nut and a screw nut. So so use that. You don't need the oil. I don't know why it comes with oil. They say not to use the oil. And if you can see right there, those are like bars. I've done a video. There's a review out there of me talking about it, but it really is the simplest way to get a razor's edge on a knife. So check out the Lansky Professional Sharpening System. If I remember, I'll throw an affiliate link into the notes afterwards. So, so Renegade Butcher says, I've been almost killed by way more people I didn't know than otherwise. Yeah. So reach out and get to know people. In-person community is absolutely the way to go, guys. It is. There's just no other way to do it. And again, what are we prepping for? Because the lone wolf mentality in preparedness is overrated. I don't want to be the guy that has to go it alone. I have a family that I want to look after. And the best way to do that, the best way to have a well-established economy after or during something that falls apart is by having an actual community built beforehand. And it's tough. It's scary. It's hard. It requires doing a preparedness presentation at your local library, or Letty Lou teaching something on practical preparedness in her local area, or, say Eric Porterhouse hopping in a vehicle and driving from California to Camden, Tennessee to meet everybody there in person, that kind of stuff. Those are the risks it takes, but it pays off every single time. So, yeah, nothing wrong with that. So, I'm going to throw up. Yeah. And, Aaron says in-person community is so important. Even an introvert can do it. Yes, absolutely. And in some ways, introverts, because it means more to them, right? As an extrovert, somebody who will talk to anybody, you'll just talk to them, it doesn't matter. But to an introvert, for them to take that step and to get out and to talk to other people, it's a big thing. And yeah, you know what, Renegade, you are right. Trust is that's really good. Trust is the most valuable currency we have discovered. Once in a while, Renegade Butcher can be really insightful. So we'll give him that one. But that's true. It is. And it is a currency that takes a long time to accumulate and can be lost in an instant. So again, remember, trust is the most valuable currency. I couldn't put it any better. Jake says, yes, absolutely. He agrees. And I believe, which is really cool, that Jake and I are going to meet up in person at an event pretty soon as well. So sorry about that. That was louder than it was supposed to be. So in-person meetup, Tori, she is going to be at that same event. Prepper Dad Ryan is going to be at the event in Washington as well. So in-person meetups, guys, it's awesome. We're going to do a workshop fireside chat there. It's going to be great. We'll just sit around and shoot the shit. Anybody who likes bourbon, I'm going to bring bourbon with me. And we're just going to have a hell of a time. After everything shuts down, we're going to sit around the fire for as late as you want. And we'll have a hell of a time. So next, I'm going to throw up anybody who wants to come on and join the live stream. You get your 10 minutes of fame. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, 10 minutes. Come on if you want. But yeah, that's it. Community. There's a reason I'm going to like 7 events this summer, because that's how we build our community. If you want a place to that you need to crash somewhere, or say you're traveling through and you're like, hey, I just need somewhere to stay on somebody's property while I'm bugging out to go somewhere else. Well, guess what? People are going to be way more inclined to do that sort of thing if you've actually met in real life and done real shit with real people. And also then they know you're not a Fed, right? So there's that. But yeah. So, all right. What do we got next for you guys? I grabbed a Stranger Than Fiction article. So if Letty Lou's listening to this, I always thank Letty for coming up with the title name for that, because what that is where we grab episodes articles from the internet that I've read that are, what's the word for it? Not doom and gloom, just preparedness related stories that I want to cover as a community. We discuss them. We have fun with them. I always enjoy it. So give me a second here. You guys I think you're going to like this one quite a bit. Here we are. Give me one sec. We got it up there. We're going to bring it up and share. And in the meantime, like I said, I threw up the StreamYard link. If somebody wants to get in the queue, as soon as I finish this article, you can pop on live and have your 10 minutes to discuss whatever you would like. So let's share. That's not big enough. We'll do this one. There we go. So this article, Stranger Than Fiction. It isn't stranger than fiction, but it's rather interesting. So let's go with this. There we are. Canada's new wireless player is going to use blockchain technology, and it wants locals to help run its network. When I saw this, I thought this is right up our alley. Now, of course, big tech getting involved in it, who knows what's going to happen, but it's a pretty interesting concept that I thought I'd like to get your thoughts on. So the CEO, Samer Bichet, hopes Carrier One will change telecom industry like Uber changed the taxi industry. Well, that's like any startup. They always say, hey, we'd love to be the next Airbnb. Well, at one time they did anyway, until some of the negative press with Airbnb. But here it is. Now, for you guys that don't know, we pay through the nose for telecom, for internet, for cell phone up here in Canada, and it's absolutely foolish. So the story goes, some Canadians may be able to pay as low as $9 a month soon. Carrier One's decentralized network uses blockchain technology to connect to 5G or 4G LTE networks depending on availability. The network is user-owned, and it's going to act as a mobile independent network operator, a MINO. Operators will create hotspots to spread connectivity across Canada through the use of gateways, professional radio equipment, and nodes purchased from the company. So there's that. I would love to see this sort of thing done open source. Probably not going to happen. Andy, if you happen to be listening to this episode, I'd love to get, down the road, send me some feedback on what you think of this, because it's an interesting concept. So here it is. Crypto's involved too. Operators will receive utility tokens depending on how often their hotspots are used, which will reduce their wireless costs. Crypto tokens will be one way the company pays its operators. Again, that's pretty standard for just about any startup right now. Through the use of the blockchain technology in its decentralized nature, outages will be a thing of the past. Maybe not a thing of the past, but yeah, I know. So Chris Dixon says open source in Kanakistan, not likely. You're right. Nate says Bitcoin or bust. Yes. So, okay, we're going to talk about that a little bit. So first off, you guys throw it in there. What do you think about the company offering their own tokens? I'm not a huge fan of startups offering tokens based. I mean, you have an incentive to earn, but I don't love that idea simply because it doesn't take long for something to turn into a library coin and go from being worth $1 something a coin to being worth 0.1 cent of a coin. Doesn't take very long. And then all of a sudden, hey, yeah, I might have 840 decentralized telecom coins, but they're not worth anything. Or it's a really rare, or not rare, but a really unknown coin that's really hard to convert into something else. So hopefully they will offer kickbacks in cash or something as well. But I do love this idea. Now, I have to say, it does remind me a little bit. I don't know if anybody else was contacted by this, but I had a couple of customers who talked to me about, I don't know what else to call it. If somebody remembers the name of it, it was almost like a pyramid scam where you ran crypto nodes or crypto something or other in the background on your system using your Wi-Fi when your system wasn't working, and you got kickbacks, and it was not good. It was shady. I didn't like that. So this is a little bit like that, but I like the fact that it's open and they're promoting it across the country. So Carrier One says its services will lead to lower costs for Canadians as it's not working as a traditional service provider. Now, not trying to be, a fly in the pudding or anything here, but I've heard that before. Many times companies have come in and said, hey, we're going to bring the price of data down in Canada. Hasn't happened yet. Doesn't happen. I'm not sure why, but anyway. As blockchain expands through the telecom world, wireless customers, particularly those in Canada, should experience better services at lower prices as blockchain technology breaks down monopoly barriers and unjustified higher premiums currently made possible in Canada by a lack of competition. So now I do agree that competition is a great thing. I hate to see what we have in Canada, which is a bunch of oligopolies, which is 3 or 4 companies running an industry. It sucks. I love seeing these upstarts. I think there's potential here for great things to happen. Civil Defense Canada, another fellow Canuck from Kanakistan in there, says, you're right. Oh my God. Hey, it's me, the RZ. Good to have you. So Civil Defense says keyword should. Yes. Chris Dixon, just to put a little salt on the wound here. He said, didn't Rogers and Shaw just merge? Yeah. So if I'm not mistaken, guys, it was the 3rd and 5th largest telecom company in the country merged. Now, I don't want the government to get involved in something like that and say you can't merge. So if they want to merge, let them merge. I don't mind the idea of this upstart company trying this. Whether anything ever comes of it or not, I don't know. We'll see. But he does throw around all of the proper buzzwords in something like this: crypto tokens, decentralized nature, the use of blockchain. So it's possible. We'll see. Okay, let's go down a little further. The $9 a month plan is the only option available at Carrier One's website. It offers 250 megabytes of roaming data, and nationwide coverage through the use of an eSIM, an electronic SIM card, I guess. So you don't have to actually install SIMs, which is okay. The service will only be available in certain communities at this time, but the company says it will build out its network in phases over the next 3 years, with plans to expand to the U.S. and Kenya as well. That seems very random. Parties interested in serving as an operator can reserve their spot on the company's website through a $140 deposit. So it sounds like they're kind of trying to do a crowdsourcing for this as well. Okay. This is where it gets, exactly, Nate. Nate just read my mind here. 250 megabytes. That's like 2 pictures and a half a second on social. And Aaron's right. Kenya and Canada do sound awfully familiar or similar. So here's the thing. Where's this going to go? I don't know. But it does sound like a Kickstarter. Hey, give us $140 if you want to be first in line for this technology. Basically, what it sounds like is it's going to be like a mesh network where everybody acts as their own internet service provider. Now he says, hey, guess what? The internet, you're not going to have outages anymore. Well, now I just want to play devil's advocate here for a moment, because if I understand this technology the way it sounds like, everybody will be shooting out their own data based on, their access to their local internet. Now, it will absolutely be more robust, and it's almost like an even smaller miniaturized version of what they're trying to do with 5G. But here's the thing. If you have a countywide or a citywide blackout, a power outage, most people are not going to have internet. Now, the cool thing is you can do the ham radio thing where you have backup power, and hopefully your telecom provider also has that. So will it work? I don't know. It's a very interesting concept. I don't love the idea. They how they say the $9 a month part really loud, and they say the 250 megabyte part really quiet. And the other thing is, in order to do this, you're going to need a lot of infrastructure, because what are you guys going to do? Again, that's the thing. It's like using an AirTag. The AirTag works on kind of a mesh network as well, or, it runs in the background of iPhone. So what happens if you're in the desert where you don't have any iPhone users around? Well, you're not going to find it, right? That's the kind of thing. I have no idea. Nate says, sounds like you guys need some 4G up there and set up your own network. What is your band allocations up there for above 70 centimeters? I don't know, but I can pretend like we can look into it for sure. But I mean, now I may be misinterpreting this, but we do have 5G up here as well in a lot of places. Our coverage is pretty good around the highways and in the cities. This will be interesting. This will be an option for people that live in densely packed urban areas, because you're going to have a ton of population to pick from, and you're going to have decent coverage probably. So is it a game changer? I don't know. We'll see. What I think it's going to be like is like some of those other pay-as-you-go companies like Fido and that sort of thing. They call them industry disruptors, but none of them have ever disrupted the industry yet. Call me a skeptic. I don't think this is going to be a game changer, but I would love to be painted wrong on this. Yeah, it's me says mesh would be a city thing. Absolutely. It's not going to be something that's going to work in rural areas. And that's okay. It doesn't, a lot of things you have to go where the people are. So it'll be a cool thing to try out. Anyway, I hope you liked that one. That was kind of interesting. So if anybody else wants to pop on, you feel free. I'm going to throw this up here. You don't have to come on video if you don't want to. You can select sound only if you're shy, and you can pick a really weird looking avatar if you really want to, but click that. I'll give you your 10 minutes of time to talk about, hey, look at that, Rev. My brother, Rev, he is a local carpenter / handyman. If you guys saw my video a couple of summers ago of the plugged in, it was a plug-in DeWalt sander, it was his. He brought it over, let me borrow it, did a great review on it, and I've continued to get ad revenue off that video for a couple of years. So thank you, brother. He's a good friend. He's helped me with a lot of things, give me some pointers to get started on siding a couple of years ago. And I am excellent, Rev. Good to see you, brother. I love seeing people pop in on these live streams. Chris Dixon says, my shop is 12 miles west of town on a hill with a line of sight on the cell tower, and I still bounce off the one 5 miles north. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird, hey? When I was a kid, before they brought in digital cell phones, you would be down by the water and you could pick up a cell tower 40 miles across the ocean or 40 miles across the bay in St. John, New Brunswick, better than you could pick up a tower 2 miles away in Digby where I lived. So yeah, it's strange. I'm going to bring up, I've got another Stranger Than Fiction story that I wanted to share with you guys right quick. This is a short one. If you guys have been following it, also a preparedness related story that I thought would be a fun one. Well, not fun per se, but they had a massive, again, I say massive, a pretty big storm, ice storm in Quebec recently. Now, it reminded me of in the past, I think it was in 1998, they had a massive ice storm in Quebec. And for those of you who don't know, Quebec is the French province on the other side of Canada. They had something like 3 freezing rainstorms in a week in January. It was bad. Main transmission lines, everything were down. They had 1.5 million people without power. So they had a bit of a repeat of that this week. Not nearly as bad, but I wanted to talk a little bit. This is another telecom story that I thought would be interesting to look at. Says, where are we here? Canadian telecom companies say networks hit by power outages from ice storm. No shit. Yeah, we know that, right? So Canadian telecom companies said on Thursday their services in the southeastern part of the country were impacted due to widespread power outages caused by a storm. So again, this is something we all know, but when the power goes out, a lot of times telecommunications go down as well. Now, one thing I found in my local town is my local telecom provider does have backup power, at least for a while. So if you're the only one that has power in your house, or you have a UPS uninterruptible power supply to your Wi-Fi router, then you can use that and do it. But most places didn't. So TELUS and Rogers and Bell, those are the 3 big ones, were all affected after freezing rain and strong winds knocked out power for more than 1 million people in Canada's 2 most populous provinces, Ontario and Quebec. Here's a picture here for those on the audio. I thought this was kind of interesting. They have these little mobile generators, I'm guessing they're diesel, that they'll just pull up and power the cell towers with from a little TELUS SUV. I thought that was pretty ingenious, and it would probably get them around to where they want. So that's kind of what they do. They said, now, these are the things to remember. This is the stuff that we see happen when power outages happen. They said, although our sites are being powered by generators, network congestion may be present in some areas as households are switching to the wireless network for connectivity. Again, remember, most people don't realize at home that they maybe can access their Wi-Fi if the power's out, if they have some power. So what are they going to do? They're going to rely on their cell phones, which is going to put an even tighter squeeze on the cell towers. So you may not be able to make phone calls, or if you can, they might be sporadic. Your data is going to be really, really slow because, again, there's only so much room in that pipeline for people to go through. Nate says, is that an electric Explorer? I don't know. And it's hard to see. The picture's a little bit blurry. And then they said, for regular updates, please visit telus.com/outages. I'm thinking, well, if you don't, if you have really slow internet, you might not be able to. So that one was from TELUS. This one here is from Bell. On Twitter, customers in Montreal, Ottawa, they're experiencing wireless. Here's the other one. And landline outages due to yesterday's ice storm. We're working with our partners to restore service as quickly and as safely as possible. Again, remember, it used to be that you could count on a landline if the power went out because they ran on a completely different system. But most landlines today are basically neutered. They run off the internet system, and if the power's out, they're no good. So remember that you may not be able to get home phone service if the power goes out nowadays. And that used to be a great prepper tip over the years. Always keep a home phone, but they're not anymore. Most has gone fully digital instead of the old analog style. It's RZ said, even with a city, mesh could be a security concern without something to tighten things up. It's a possibility for sure. Nate says, pro tip. Yes, this is great. Send text messages, not phone calls. Less data goes faster. And if there's less room for something to get together or to get through, it's much easier for a small text message to go through than it is for a full phone call to go through. So something like that. Bell says, we are working with our partners. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Just standard bureaucratic and big business bullshit. Our wireless customers remain connected, however. Some may notice a degradation of service. Here's what it ends up. And this is where things can kind of get, they start piling on top of each other. So, degradation of service with fewer available sites due to power outages, Roger said in a tweet. So, you've got more people trying to use less towers. That can be a bad situation. Rogers, our customers in Ottawa, Montreal are all being impacted. Bell's customers in the greater Montreal area, greater Ottawa area were also impacted. Electricity providers in both provinces were working to restore power, but repairs were expected to continue for days. So I checked tonight. It's been 5 days since the power outages, and I believe there was around 200,000 people still without power. So remember that. That is one of those things that you need to pay attention to. Genesis Good. I don't know who Genesis Good is. Says, shout out Idle. Oh, it looks like Rev there. Good to have you again from a different, I think that maybe it isn't Rev. I'm not sure. Sorry. It's a tiny picture and I can't see. Oh, yes. Jake from Ravenwood has a great, he's a comms expert. If you guys aren't following Jake on Ravenwood Acres over on YouTube, make sure you do. You can also send emails to text. Yeah, there is, just Google it, guys. But yes, I looked it up a little while ago when somebody mentioned it in the live stream, and it is totally a thing and not that difficult to do for sure. Okay, so we are going to, let's, you know what? I'm going to open the lines one more time. I got a couple more things to cover for you guys tonight, but I'd love to get one more guest on the live phone call. If anybody's interested, I'm going to throw up the link one more time. So remember, east of the Rockies, west of the Rockies, wildcard line for any of those who used to listen to Art Bell. Doesn't matter. You can call in on this one. Oh, nice. Genesis Good says, I'm from Provost, best friend of Rev's. Good to have you. So if anybody wants to come on live and chat for a few minutes, you get 10 minutes to talk about whatever you'd like to talk about. You can ask me questions. I'll do my best to answer them or make something. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, so yeah, come on if you want to. Link is in the description or in the live chat at the moment. This will be the last call before we shut down phone lines for this evening. Where are we going to go from here, guys? Next, I read it on the internet. I know you guys love these segments. This is a brand new segment that we launched just a couple of weeks ago. If you don't know who Reddit is or what Reddit is, check it out. Well, okay, you don't have to. You really don't. But if you're into prepping, the subreddit over on Reddit is incredible. The R prepping one is great. Full of pretty sensible people who are mostly encouraging, but have some really good practical advice over there. So if you are looking for an interesting place to glean some insights that maybe you haven't heard of before, R prepping over on Reddit is the place to go. So I put it out to the community. I said, hey, what are we going to name this segment? And of course, Brian Alexovich come up with, I read it on the internet and I fucking loved it and it has stuck. So that is our new segment. So this one here, I actually brought it up tonight. For those on the video, we're going to share it again. Bring that up right there. This one is prepping for dental issues. Now, two things that I always think is very important when you share something like this. Cite it so that people know. But it was a user, Dawn Exodus. This was 6 days ago who shared this. Great information. And also, like I said, go over and join the R prepping group if you're interested. And shout out to anybody in the workshop community. If you are part of Reddit and you use it on a regular basis and you want me to set up a workshop subreddit, I'll do it if there's interest. I'm over there quite a bit. I have an account now that's under the workshop name. It's great, but Reddit is a different beast, all unto itself. So, but if there's interest, we can totally do it. What do we got here? Pipin says, love it. Yeah, I love that name too. And yeah, it's me. The RZ says 4chaners and Redditors rarely mix, except here. Yes. Yeah, there's, it is what it is. Oh yeah. And hey, DS Youngblood 1972 said, you mentioned the next book for the book club is Atlas Shrugged, length 68 hours. I would suggest the abridged audio book narrated by Edward Herman, Highbridge Audio, Deco cover, best performance. You know what? Totally something I'd be into. So here's the thing. I should fill you in on the book club. So we just finished up the 10th book of the Going Home book series. Had a lot of fun with it. We decided to end that segment or that section at 10 books because that was traditionally the end. There is an 11th and a 12th coming eventually, but we thought 10 was a good place to stop. So the next book is actually going to be 1 Second After by William Fortune. He was on the show a while back. Great guy. Awesome series. So what we're going to do is there's 3 books in that series. So we're going to work through them for the next 3 months. There's going to be those. And if we time it out just right, and I think we do, I believe August, the 4th book, 5 years after, I think it's called, or something like that, is going to be landing. So if we time it out right, we'll be able to do the 4th one in that series in a row. Then we're going to move on to Atlas Shrugged. Now, I would love, I don't even know how to put this, but I don't know how we're going to do Atlas Shrugged yet. The abridged version would be pretty cool. I don't know if the other readers would be up for doing the abridged, but we are going to definitely cover it over at least a 3-episode series. One, because it's 3 books or 3 parts in one book. It's still a hell of a lot of content to cover. I don't know how long we'll do it. It is a fucking incredible book for anybody out there who is into freedom and the free market and, you know, where to go with this, guys. It's incredible. But the whole, you know, the concept behind it is, you know, a human's worth is in their ideas and their drive for doing things. And all you need is personal, the internal motivation to do great things. And it's awesome. So for what it's worth, read it if you're interested. We are going to cover it eventually. And you know what? I may be totally into it. May be something we have to do, right? So yeah. And all right. So from there, yeah, Nate says the movie sucked. Don't waste your time. I've heard that before from Nate, and they sound like they're a little bit whatever. Anyway, so I read it on the internet. Prepping for dental issues. This is thoughts from a dentist. And I thought this was too good not to share, guys, because we all say, you know, oh, push comes to shove, I'll just hold you down and knock your tooth out with a Bauer skate. No. Yes. You know, if nothing else, we can all say, who is John Galt, as Martinson family says. But that was a Tom Hanks reference for the skate to knock it out. But anyway, so we all, you know, and it would be good. It would be nice to have the first aid equipment for dealing with dental issues, right? But in this instance, this is what the dentist said. And I thought it's really practical advice, and I thought we should share it. I've seen a lot of posts talking about prepping and dentistry tools to perform procedures. I want to be frank with you guys. You really can't treat dental issues on your own, and here's why. Let's say you have a cavity. You're just going to drill it out and fill it, right? How will you know when you've gotten all the decay? It's often just a 0.5 millimeter, which is like, anyway, we won't even try that. 0.5 millimeter from the nerve. If you hit the nerve, the tooth will become infected. Think about how small 0.5 millimeter really is. If you leave decay, the tooth becomes infected. If you don't properly seal the filling, the tooth becomes infected. How will you fill cavities between teeth without bonding them together? Drilling a tooth without lots of water will heat it and kill the nerve. The tooth comes infected. Try accomplishing all the above with water and without having the patient choke or move. Okay, so fillings are out. What about the infected tooth? How are you going to remove it without breaking it? If you leave the root, here we go. You're going to see a theme here. It will become infected and never heal. How will you even know if you got all the roots? What will you do when it breaks off at the gum line and encased in solid bone? I could go on and on. My point in all of this is to illustrate that you can't really treat dental issues without the proper training and equipment. In my opinion, it's a waste of time and money to prep for this. Now, I don't know where I stand on that necessarily. I think it probably wouldn't hurt to have some of that anyhow. However, what the dentist recommends is proactive prepping. And I think we all agree with this. What you can do is make sure your mouth is free of decay and get some strong toothpaste with fluoride in it. Something like ClinPro or Prevident will go a long way in preventing these issues. That and ACT or ACT mouthwash. I like hearing these because these are practical steps you can take to look after yourself. Also, again, something that they don't mention, but get your teeth taken care of as soon as you can. Don't leave it just in case something shitty happens eventually. Go to the dentist, spend a little bit of money because, it's absolutely worth taking care of your teeth. And again, it's just like a vehicle. If you've done your oil changes on your vehicle and all of a sudden the shit hits the fan and you've got to overdrive your vehicle for a while without doing an oil change, well, doing that routine maintenance is going to pay off. It's the same with your teeth. If you keep up on them and you go to the dentist and get that shit done, if things go really bad for a while, for instance, like COVID, when the dentist shut down for a bit, hopefully you've taken care of it and you don't have to deal with it, right? Just one of those things. So lastly, whatever you do, this is actually really solid advice and kind of funny coming from a dentist. Brush your teeth before bed. It's generally fine to brush once a day, but do not fall into the trap of only brushing in the morning. Cavities form at night. This way your teeth are clean from dinner until breakfast. If you brush only in the morning, your teeth are clean for about 10 minutes a day until you eat breakfast. Ooh, I always brush my teeth after I eat breakfast. But anyway, in conclusion, just do the annoying shit dentists have been telling you to do your whole life and try to find a dentist if you can in a shit hits the fan situation. I thought that's pretty practical advice from a dentist because, a lot of times they're not even willing to tell you simple things like that. They all say, floss every day, brush your teeth 2 or 3 times a day. Well, I like this. He's like, if you can't, or if you don't want to, brush your teeth at night before you go to bed. It's your best bang for your buck. Pipin says, my oil change is done. My broken tooth is not fixed. I get you, brother. I know. I hate going to the dentist. I put it off, but I try not to anymore. Although I say that, and just recently, I think I'm overdue for my next dental checkup. So it's worth it. There's a reason, the old folks' homes are full of people with false teeth because that generation didn't look after them. But we're going to have our generation and going forward, the Gen Xers and up, there's going to be a lot of people that's going to need retirement age dental care because we've looked after our teeth. And I guess that's a good thing. So yeah. And also if you have a bad tooth, get it pulled now. Don't leave it. Don't put it off. You might think, oh shit, I don't want to, but get it dealt with because it really, man, you don't want to have a bad tooth. And then there's a second dentist that chimes in. Dentist here, I can totally agree with OP. OP is short Reddit for original poster. Not much you can do for a broken or infected tooth other than an extraction, assuming a shit hits a fan scenario. Best scenario is to avoid these situations, so let's prevent it. See a dentist ahead of time. Don't trust all dentists. That's also pretty interesting to hear. They need to show you x-rays and photos before any work is done. The treatment should align with what you want, and it needs to make sense. I like that. Brush in the morning, and as Op said, 100% before bed. Only drink water from brushing to breakfast. Floss daily. Avoid sugar foods and processed foods. This is just good for the body and the teeth. And then they go on to, if you want to prep, learn how to grow gardens, grow as much of your food, get a beehive, get chickens, plant your food. This will force you to eat healthier, be more self-sufficient, and avoid dental issues. Honey is also a good barter. I like that. Renegade says, my dental prep is whiskey and antibiotics. If it gets bad, make friends with a farrier. Well, veterinarians in general are a great place to get medical care, I suppose, if something collapsed. And again, these are fun conversations to have. We tend to prep for, at least I hope we do, the most common scenario. And again, what's more common? The entire society collapsing and you not being able to get into the dentist, or, losing your job, losing your benefits, and then regretting not getting that tooth fixed, right? So Yep, Renegade says, eat meat and stop drinking soda, as I take a sip of my Diet Dr. Pepper. But you're not wrong, brother. Absolutely. And I had one more I wanted to share with you, and I like this one a lot. It's simple, easy, and it warmed my heart a little bit. I like hearing this. And this is by a user, OK Pineapple Pizza. What a great name. Simple preps paid off. I like these little humble brag posts, but this is legitimate. Like, I'm proud of myself. So they said, last night I got to use some of my most basic preps. And again, we prep for the thing that is important to us, the thing we think is going to happen. So I got to use my most basic preps when a thunderstorm knocked out the power. Of course, my wife's phone was on like 10% or less. Sound familiar? Anyway, just saying. Again, now, I don't do this, and maybe it's something I should get into. Maybe I should start charging my phone in the middle of the day. But I also keep lots of full charged battery banks around, and that helps a lot. Youngblood 1972 says, run into dentist in my first cleaning that wanted to do a lot of comedic work. Oh, I think cosmetic work, sorry. File off my teeth, put on veneers. He got mad when I asked if any of it was for functional reasons. Exactly. So find the dentist that, now, if you want to get cosmetic shit done, good, find a cosmetic dentist. But if you just want a dentist that's like, hey, I will give you the bare minimum. I need this tooth pulled. Because sometimes dentists will be like, hey, I want to fix this for you, and it's going to cost a lot more, and you need a bridge, or not a bridge, I can't think of it, but the thing where they go in and they actually fix it, root canal. There we go. One of those nights. So some dentists are going to be like, I want to give you a root canal. Becky had that before, and then she ended up just saying, no, you know what, just pull it. So that is something, and then she got it fixed eventually. But yeah, so one of those things. Find the dentist that works for you. That's great. That's great news. And looks like Nate and Aaron are going to get divorced over the fact that pineapple is good on pizza or not. So from there, of course, my wife's phone was like 10% or less. She refuses to plug it in until it dies or she's going to sleep. So I took out my handy flashlight, walked down to my office, grabbed my power bank that I kept charged, learned the hard way. We all do. It's okay. You have to learn somewhere. And brought it and a few lanterns and a flashlight up. I put the lantern on low in the hall bathroom in case one of the kids woke up, then brought the other one into our bedroom, flashlights and a power bank. Super simple, but super effective. We weren't in any real danger, but the ease of mind of having a charged phone and a light made our situation so much better, right? I love that because, again, what's more likely? An EMP or a small power outage, and it's dark in the house, and you stub a toe, or you trip on something, you break something, you hurt yourself, and then you're out of work for a while, right? So what I'm saying is something as simple as a couple of flashlights or a couple of rechargeable lanterns in the hallway and in the bathroom. Simple, right? That kind of thing. And again, it's about preventative. Civil Defense Canada says the commenter was right. Don't always trust a dentist. Had a dentist who took over my lifelong dental practice. Botched my root canal, broke my tooth, ended with an extraction. Ask around. Yes. And that's the thing. Here's the thing. When living in a small town, it can become difficult, or you can feel like you what's the word for it, are attached to or owe a dentist something, but you don't. If you're not happy, travel around, ask around, find somewhere. And, it's funny that we ended up talking about dental work so much, but dental work is a prep. Preventative health is a prep. I'm talking to myself here. I know that kind of stuff because, again, an infected tooth today will lead to needing to take antibiotics or some pain. But an infected tooth in a worst case scenario, well, we all know where that might end up, right? And that's not a good thing, or, potentially not a good thing. So again, find it out. Here's the deal. Our dentist is 2.5 hours away in a city just outside of Edmonton called Sherwood Park. They're incredible. They tell you what they're going to do. They walk you through the billing process. They walk you through the insurance process. They take care of everything. They're fucking awesome. They make you feel comfortable. They explain the scenario to you. They do 3D scans of it. It is just it's perfect. So again, shop around. I've heard Jack Spirko mention many times about shopping around for a doctor who aligns with your beliefs. And I think a dentist is as important as well. Find one that is willing to work with you. Again, if you just want to go in and get a tooth pulled, find a dentist that's going to be willing to just pull the tooth. Simple as that, right? Renegade Butcher says, living in a small town is a country song. You could end up with bad teeth and an old truck, dating your cousin, and your dog ran away, your wife left you, things like that, right? So I think we'll end it here, guys. This is a great episode. Thank you. I love all of these. I love our Saturday night shows. They're a little more laid back. I love doing these open call-in lines. We got 2 people tonight that I don't think's called in before. We had John Dowie and Brother Renegade Butcher. So this was a lot of fun, guys. I appreciate you. We got in a couple of I read it on the internet segments, and we got a couple of the Stranger Than Fiction, and I give you an update on the this week in the workshop. So I try to pack in as much as I can, but I like these more laid back, chill discussion episodes on Saturday. I have a lot of fun with them. I hope you guys enjoy them. I've had great feedback on the Stranger Than Fiction section, and hopefully I'd like to hear back from you guys, though. So if one of these segments don't work for you, or you're like, hey, I don't like it, or I do like it, send me email at therealtimcook@gmail.com or PM me over on Telegram, because I want the feedback. I love to hear it. That way I can make this show, because for me, 1% better every single day works to 3,800% better in a year. And I want to make a better product for you guys. I want it to be as entertaining as it is informative. And I want to do a damn good job for everyone. So let me know if you like it. Also, if you have some cool stories that you think would be worth discussing in a Stranger Than Fiction section, send them to me. I love it. Letty sent us a great one a couple weeks ago about that house built on the river in Montana. Always great. So with that, guys, what do we got coming up? Tomorrow night, we have James from Gingerbread Farms and Brian Alexovich from the Lots Project. Oh, yes, Civil Defense said, here, I'll type it in. So it's, I need to come up. So if you ever wonder where my email came from, it's therealtimcook@gmail.com. And it's because the fake Tim Cook is the CEO of Apple. So the real Tim Cook, no E on Cook, @gmail.com. That's the easiest way to email me. I may end up, I don't know, come up with a shorter version based on my URL for my main website, my domain. I talked to Josh about that. It may be something we do down the road, but I've had this email forever and it works. It's the one you can get a hold of me at. So yeah. So tomorrow night, we're going to do an intro level talk about crypto and Noster. I hope I pronounced that right. A whole bunch of things. It's going to be fun. Brian's going to get James figured out on a lot of this stuff. And it's going to be a different type of interview where we discuss some things and hopefully walk some people through some things. Brian's been recording some screen captures, some videos that people should enjoy. So anyway, guys, I appreciate you. I've said it. I'll say it again. I love these Saturday night episodes, and I love that you guys come in and hang out with me. So thanks for making this a great call-in community feedback episode. And as always, stay happy, stay healthy, and have a great week.